Hey there, LBT Squad. I'm your host, Alex Pop, and you're watching Episode 3 of The Land Before Future. This is a series where we knock around ideas for what to include in any upcoming Land Before Time installments, and this is an episode that I've hinted at doing a few times before now. In my review for The Land Before Time 4, Journey Through the Mists, I maybe expressed my interest for Littlefoot and the movie's guest character Allie becoming romantically involved in a future Land Before Time movie. For a while, it seemed like just kind of an idea that came into my head as a kid, but when I started getting back into these movies back in 2012, I found out that I'm not the only one who sees the potential. The idea has been circulated on dozens of internet sites related to the franchise, from music videos to fan fiction to fan art to even comments on my videos. Land Before Time fans everywhere seem to really cherish the idea of Littlefoot and Allie being a couple. So, why is it such a popular idea? Well, Littlefoot and Allie do have a very close friendship in Journey Through the Mists. It seems to be what some people refer to as sandbox love, when a young boy and girl under the age of about 10 have a playful relationship without having an understanding of what love really is. It's also made clear at the end of the film that Allie's words about the possibility of she, Littlefoot, and all of their friends living together one day appeal to Littlefoot. It all does seem to allude to him having different feelings toward Allie than to his other friends. And if that was the intention, I am glad that the thought is just left open in the movie so that it doesn't feel rushed and their friendship can progress as the movies go on and they get older. Another thing is that after Littlefoot lost his mother, it's a nice idea to think of him experiencing emotional affection from another. Even as a young kid, I thought, this is cool. Littlefoot has found someone whom he can relate to, and she can be there for him through his life. I always had this interest for the kind of relationship between male and female that leads to marriage. I was never the kind of boy who was like, yeah, girl cooties, getting married, that's all mushy stuff, yeah. Heck, I remember attending this homeschool connections class in 2nd grade where I met my first crush, and I proposed to her, and she said yes. True story. And this brings me to another theory of mine. It's a nostalgia thing. I don't know what percentage of people I'm speaking for, but I think many young adults have a crush that they remember from early in their lives, and they have this mere fantasy of getting back together with him or her. For me, I think, wouldn't it be just wonderful if eventually I met up again with my first love from 2nd grade and we became husband and wife? What a great love story I'd have to tell. For some people it turns out that way in the end, oftentimes it doesn't, but it is still a nice thought. So I feel like because Littlefoot is such a close character to us, we kind of want the same thing for him. Seeing him eventually mate with Allie would really add a significant amount to the nostalgia factor in the franchise. And considering how the nostalgia factor is one of the primary reasons for our fondness for the franchise, I say, make it happen, Universal. But how should it happen? Well, like I said before, it shouldn't be too rushed, especially considering how Littlefoot and Allie are still kids. A lot of fanfics out there that I read often have them just falling in love from the get-go. It's just like, hey, I love you. Hey, I love you too. Great, we're an item now. It's just too abrupt. No offense to any of the authors of those fanfics who I'm sure are watching. However, there was one terrific fanfic that I read simply titled The Adventures of Littlefoot and Allie by a guy called PokePlayer984. This was one of the rare fanfics that just sucked me in. A few rough edges, but honestly, it could have been canon. There were times reading it where I started to feel like it was happening before my eyes, like any Land Before Time movie. In the story, Allie and Rhett, the Longneck from the TV episode The Brave Longneck Scheme, wind up in the Great Valley, and instead of Littlefoot and Allie becoming a couple instantaneously, they grow more affectionate for each other as the story progresses. But the thing is, Allie still kind of likes Rhett, and unfortunately, the author stopped writing before there was a resolution. It is still a great fanfic, though. I'll add a link to it in the description. If the studio was to take any amount of inspiration from this fanfic, a resolution I have in mind is for Littlefoot to learn what it really means to love someone, that love is other-centered. So he comes to grips with the idea that Allie may not choose him, but he still goes to her as she struggles to make her decision, and he encourages her with his mother's last words, "Let your heart guide you. It whispers, so listen closely." and that's where she starts to realize that Littlefoot is the one. Also, as a side note, don't villainize Rhett. If they wanted to make it a bit more of an adventure, the whole thing could instead start with Littlefoot having sleep stories that he feels are leading him somewhere, and Grandma and Grandpa immediately take it to mean that it's time for them to save the world from, well, another solar eclipse. But instead, it leads them to the current location of Allie and Rhett's herd, and at first they're confused that no one else is having the sleep stories, but when it all ends, Littlefoot understands why they were leading him there. And one last thing I'd like to bring up is what I mentioned in my top 10 best Land Before Time episodes, how I think Allie's development in the Brave Longneck scheme could be retconned, as it got negative reception from many fans, including myself. In the episode, Allie falls for Rhett's tall tales about how he saved his herd several times from Sharpteeth, and it felt completely out of character for her to be that gullible. But what if we find out later that Allie didn't really believe Rhett's stories and was only saying that she did because she wanted him to like her? This would be more in tune with her character because she was very eager for Sarah to like her in Journey Through the Mist, so that could be a really common personality trait for her. So what do you think about that? And of course, what do you think of Littlefoot and Allie as an item? And how could the idea be developed? Comment below and let me know. That's a wrap for now. If you liked this and you want to see more, slap the like button, subscribe for future videos, and follow us on Facebook. Thanks for watching. I'm your host, Alex Pop. Catch you later.